right here, I have a tray of tomatoes. This is specifically mortgage lifter. We're gonna show you guys all the different tomatoes we have, not all of them, but we're gonna be talking a little bit about tomatoes here, how we start them, and the important things that you need to know to have amazing tomatoes. This is how we grow 1,200 tomatoes to go into our greenhouses to make beautiful tomatoes. So, we have all the tomatoes out here on the floor right now. We have different arrangements. Some are in 3-inch pots, 3-inch square pots. Some are in the soil blocks. Now the ones in the soil blocks, which we see down here, actually tend to do quite a bit better than the ones in the pots. There's a more compacted amount of nutrients there. The roots seem to formulate better. When they hit the wall of the plastic, it stops and it takes longer for those roots to want to go again. And we find the blocks just do a really, really good job. Now we have a special seedling mix that we make right here for all of these so that we get really strong, healthy tomatoes. And we have an entire video that is going to be coming out explaining how we do our special mixture that's formulated for these tomatoes. Now, you'll see with some of these tomatoes that they're starting to get what's called the true leaf. Now, a true leaf, these two little leaves here are not the true leaves. So they have just these little baby leaves when they first start growing. And then if we go over here, right in the middle, you'll see in the middle of this one, there's a tiny leaf starting, and that is the true leaf. That's actually part of what's going to be the full tomato plant. And then these leaves will kind of just fall off and aren't going to contribute much to the full growth of that tomato. So we have these, there's about 60 in each of these trays for the soil blocks for these tomatoes. And we have tons of different varieties. So over here we have something that we're calling Blondie. It's actually Blond Kampfen, and it's a German variety. It's a cherry tomato. We have Mortgage Lifter here. We have Brandywine, which is a staple. We have a ton of Amish paste, hundreds of Amish paste for doing tomato sauce and things like this. Even salsas and just all sorts of great things. Then we have, going down here, we have some Muscovich. We have pink Brandywine, Sunrise Bumblebee. That's one of my favorite cherry tomatoes right back here. And it'll start to become more apparent when they're bigger what the varieties actually look like. We have Nepal down here. This is more of like a slicing type. We have this is Cherry Roma. This is a little smaller sort of grape tomato. Whippersnapper, that's a pink cherry or grape tomato, fantastic. We have a ton of Manitoba, which is like a traditional round slicing tomato. We have San Morzano, which is great for canned whole tomatoes. If you like a chunky sauce with whole tomatoes or like a chunky salsa, things like that. And we have all sorts of other things down there. We have Kellogg's Breakfast, which is one of my absolute favorite, just to slice up nice and thick and put on a sandwich. It's a very big beefsteak, but it's orange. And it has really, really nice flavor. We have Gold Nugget. We have some chocolate varieties. We have, Mushroom Basket. That's a beautiful heirloom tomato, deep ribs, steak type tomato. And there's others that we haven't even mentioned yet. So we have about 1,200 tomatoes that we are starting that are going to be moved into the greenhouse. We start these really early. because we want them strong by the time the greenhouse is ready to be put into. So if we look at some of the dates, most of these are around March 6th. So March 6th is when we were really seeding these in heavy, and they're growing super nicely already. Making sure your soil blocks are having the nutrients that your plant needs is super important, because if you run out of nutrients before they even get in the ground, you're going to stunt their growth, and it's going to be stunted for a couple weeks until you can build that up again if you have to start adding amendments on top. Now, once these get a little bit bigger, we will actually be adding things just on top or in a spray, in like a pump sprayer, different organic fertilizers. We might be doing some more alfalfa. We're going to be doing some raw cow's milk because we have the milk cow here on the farm. So we're going to be using the raw cow's milk here because we're plant-based, so we don't drink the milk. And that just makes the bacteria and all the microorganisms explode, and the tomatoes just love it. Squash loves it, cucumbers love it. They just really, really like the raw cow's milk, so we're going to use some of that. We have a bunch. It's not fully fresh. We have it in the freezer from last year because our cow isn't. She's dry right now, and we didn't breed her yet, so she's not making milk at the moment. But we have probably about 50 gallons of milk frozen that we're going to start using in here. So we'll spray that on here to make sure, and we'll keep close tabs. And if you guys keep watching the How to Country videos, you're going to see the progress of what the tomatoes look like and how big these are going to get in these little soil blocks. It's just incredible. Hopefully we're going to be able to put these in the greenhouse fairly early this year. We're getting a really great spring so far, which is really good for us. So we can get those tomatoes rooting in the ground early enough. Now you'll see in some of these trays there is 2 or sometimes 3 tomatoes in a block, and we're going to take those out because we don't want any competition between the plants. We want really strong plants. It's better to have fewer strong plants than them tight together and them struggling and fighting each other. So that's a really important thing for doing your tomatoes. So we have the steak tomatoes, we have the slicer tomatoes, which a steak is a slicer too because you can use it on sandwiches or you can marinate it and just eat it like that. Just fantastic. You can roast them. You can put them in the oven with salt, with some honey on it. Just incredible. We have the cherry tomatoes, all different kinds of gold to red, different cherry tomatoes. And then we have the paste tomatoes, the San Marzano, the Amish paste, and then a couple other varieties that we're going to be testing out. Every year we test out several different varieties just to see what flavors are good, what grows good in the area, and this is a good idea for all you guys, is to see what grows good. And then we're going to be saving a bunch of the seed from the best varieties to grow for next year and even offer to you guys. So this is what it looks like at the moment. 1,200 seedlings is basically in this area here. So these are going to be in here till May, and then in May we're going to start putting them out into the other greenhouses. We may start warming or heating one of the greenhouses earlier so we can actually get some tomatoes coming a bit faster. So we might do that and transplant out into there. When these are sprouting, it's really important. The tomatoes love heat. So we make our blocks, and then we put one seed in each of the blocks. We get them moist, and then what we do is we take them and we put them in, this is our germination station, our seedling rack to sprout things. So if you come over here, if you look up here, we have some Fairmont. This is forget-me-not flowers. And we can see the little guys starting to sprout there. If I pull this tray, this is just starting to break through. There's a little pepper there. That's a California Wonder pepper, and there's one little guy in the back. Peppers are also another thing that love heat. So we keep this way hotter than we keep the rest of the greenhouse. We'll close this up. It stays humid. It stays warm, which is exactly what the seedlings need. Stays at a fairly constant temperature. We open it up when it's hot in here just to air it out. You need airflow. You don't want mold growing or things like this, so it's important to let the sun get in, let the airflow get in, and you can hear the fans going. We have fans going all the time. Air movement is really important for plants. It also helps them to uptake nitrogen because nitrogen comes from the air. So that's one way to actually increase the nitrogen in your plants, is to have airflow going there. So they go in here. And since we have another layer of plastic protecting this, keeping this moist and warm, there's not as much sun getting through. So as soon as things start to sprout, now this is still early for that little pepper, but maybe by even later this afternoon, enough will start popping out, and that's going to trigger us to pull them out. Because we don't want the tomatoes to start stretching and reaching. If they start reaching for light, you get a weak stem, you get a weak plant, and that's not going to be very good. You can fix it, but it's going to take more effort. So we want our plants as short and stocky and strong as possible early on, and then when they go in the greenhouse and we start trimming them, they're going to shoot right up and start producing. So if you're buying seedlings, don't go for the tallest, skinniest one. Go for a little bit shorter, thick stem. You want a nice thick stem on it. That shows that it's healthy, and that's what you're looking for. So as soon as they're sprouted here, we pull this out. We have a thermometer here. We also have temperature sticks because we're doing a lot. We're doing thousands upon thousands of seedlings, and it's critical. So we have temp sticks in here that text us in the middle of the night. I got a text last night saying that the temperature was dropping, so I had to come outside, check the heaters, check the fire, make sure everything's working well, so that we can monitor really closely what's happening here. And if you would like to learn how to do all of this and get the hands-on experience, because it's one thing to see it in a video, it's another thing to see it in person. So if you go to farm.amazingdiscoveries.org, we have a farm apprenticeship program. And we actually have some farm apprentices. So go there if you would like to apply to become a farm apprentice, and even call our office. Say, hey, Mackenzie made a video saying to send in my application. I sent it in, and let them know that you're interested in actually coming and helping and learning on the farm. So we're going to walk you through all the seedlings. We just talked about tomatoes today mainly. We're going to be doing a bunch more videos updating you guys. We are going to show you how to work the garden, the other greenhouses, the different animals, all of these things we're going to cover. You're definitely not going to want to miss it. So farm.amazingdiscoveries.org. Thank you for watching the How to Country Farm, and we'll see you in the next video.